This week I'm going to post a number of videos that are a review for the final exam. If I cover a topic, it is not an indication that the topic is on the exam. It is an indication that one of the students asked me to cover this topic. I just want to be clear so that people don't misunderstand the expectation relative to these videos. So I'm going to do the next 3 videos, including this one, will be inventory, and then I'll cover a couple of other topics, and I hope to get everything posted by a week before the exam, but it'll definitely be close enough to give you enough time to study. So the first thing we're going to do is an inventory problem, and I'll write out the question here. A toy manufacturer uses 48,000 rubber wheels per year for its dump truck. The trucks are assembled over the entire year. The firm makes its own wheels at a rate of 800 per day and makes them in batches or lots. Holding cost is $1 per wheel per year. Setup cost is $45 per order. The firm operates 200 days per year. How many wheels should they make at a time? That's the question. So let's consider first what information we have. Big D is 48,000. Big D is demand per year. Little d, which is demand rate per day, is something that we will need to know. It's always important for you to distinguish between that. It's why we give you the number of days per year. Equals 48,000 divided by 240 equals 200 wheels per day. P is the production rate, which was given, is 800. S is the setup, which was given, is $45. And H is equal to $1. So in that circumstance, checking that you can see everything, in that circumstance you now have all of the information you need. What kinds of things might you need to know? So the first thing you need to know is, what kind of problem is this? And in this case, because we have a production rate that they're making it themselves and they're not ordering it, this is a POQ question. The difference between POQ and EOQ, which I'll do an example of in the next video, is POQ, you're producing things and you don't order it and then get all of the inventory all at once. You start producing it, you produce it, and you while you're using it, and then you stop, and then you burn through your inventory, and then you start to produce again. So the formula for POQ is equal to the square root, looks a lot like the EOQ one, 2 times D, which the big D is annual demand, times S over H times 1 minus D over P. So that's the big difference here, the demand rate and the production rate. So in this case, that is the square root of 2 times 48,000 times 45 divided by 1 times 1 minus 200 over 800. And that is equal to 2,400 wheels. So that is the lot size. Or production quantity. That's the basic thing. So what other things could you be asked relative to this type of problem? Well, the maximum inventory, which you need to know in order to figure out holding costs, is equal to Q times 1 minus 200 over 800. Q is the order quantity or the lot size, and that is equal to 1,800 wheels. And if you remember in the EOQ model, the maximum inventory was equal to Q, but in this case, you're producing and using wheels at the same time, so that you never get up to the 2,400 wheels, because as you start producing them, when you get to 0, you start producing them at a rate faster than you're using them, but you are using them up, and so you only ever get up to 1,800 wheels in this case. So then average inventory equals max over 2 is equal to 1,800 divided by 2 is equal to 900 wheels. Is the most that you will ever have in inventory. So then your holding cost, that's the most you'll ever have in inventory. Average inventory is 900. That's the average you have over time, which you use for holding cost, which is equal to 900 times 1 is equal to $900. Setup cost is equal to 48,000 divided by 2,400. That number by itself is the number of orders, right? So you need 48,000, you make 2,400 at a time, so you have to make it 20 times. So it's 20 times the setup cost, which is 45, is equal to $900. Another thing you should remember is if you are using your optimal order quantity, setup costs and holding costs should be the same. If you are not, when the number is smaller, your holding costs will be higher and your setup costs will be lower. And if the number is bigger than the optimal, your holding costs will be higher and your setup costs will be lower. Just something to remember. So in this particular instance, total inventory cost are $1,800. That's holding costs plus setup costs. Relatively straightforward, I think. The only other question I could ask you here is so how long do they, when they start producing, how long do they produce? And one reason you might ask a question like that is they might produce different things and you need to be able to schedule on the wheel maker. They might produce wheels for different toys, and that is 2,400, which is the number you make, divided by your production rate per day is equal to 3 days. So when we produce wheels, we make them for 3 days, and then we stop, and then when we get down to 0, we start producing them again. So that is production order quantity. Relatively straightforward. If you have any questions, ask. That is the end of the first review video.